Hi, my name is Sunny and welcome to my channel Sunny's Starlight. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to press that bell icon to get notifications of all videos I release. So today I'm going to be doing a movie review of the film Simmba, starring Ranveer Singh, Sara Ali Khan, Sonu Sood, Ashutosh Rana, and it's directed by Rohit Shetty. But before I start, for those of you who may have seen my trailer reactions to the film KGF, if not, please check them out. And you will have seen that I was extremely looking forward to seeing this film because it appealed to me and I really wanted to review it for you guys. But unfortunately there were some distribution problems in the UK, so the film was not released at the same time as the rest of the world, and we had about 4 shows which were very far away from me. So I reached out on Twitter, and a kind guy called Subramania, who belongs to the Sandalwood Entertainment UK, reached out and sent me this poster, and the film is now being released throughout the UK by View Cinemas, so I'll be going to see that as soon as possible and bringing you a review for myself. And also, if you want to see it, please check out the cities which are listed on that list, and go along and see it for yourself as well. Mark your calendars, it's the 6th of January for KGF in this country. The film is already doing really well in India and it's been received well, so I'm bound to enjoy it even more now. So back to Simmba, and what can I say? Ranveer Singh started the year off with a bang in Padmavat, playing Alauddin Khilji, and he's ending it with a huge roar in this film Simmba. It is thoroughly his film completely, and it's what's known as a masala film. Masala means spices, so you throw in different spices. You've got comedy, you've got action, you've got romance, you've got drama, everything. So that's known as a masala film. We know that this film is not going to be an epic masterpiece, but what it is, it's a masala film, and it's a great entertainer, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was Ranveer Singh's film all the way, and it was nice to see Ranveer playing something totally different from what we've seen him in the last few years, which is historical period dramas, which he's excelled in. But it was nice to see him in a very different role, and that's why I think I was very excited when I saw the trailer, because I thought it brought out the fun side of him. He's very energetic and he's very boisterous. He's just full of enthusiasm, so I was looking forward to seeing him in this new avatar, and he did not disappoint. I did expect him to sort of go right over the top, but I'm pleasantly surprised that he's actually restrained his performance. He does ham it up, but just close enough so it doesn't become annoying and it becomes quite endearing. So he plays this lovable rogue as an orphan child who is just learning to survive on the streets of Mumbai, and he sees his idol Bajirao Singham, who he idolizes, and then he learns the secret that in order to be successful, that he needs to become a policeman, and that too a corrupt one, who will extract and extort money from criminals as well as corrupt people as well. So he's a kind of a lovable rogue, and you kind of fall in love with him and you root for him, and it's his film all the way. He gets this huge entrance scene where he's running through this open laundry place. It's called a Dobighat, where washers actually wash other people's clothes, and so he's chasing these 2 criminals in slow-mo with the music swelling in the background, and lots of colour and lots of action as well. So he's all slick back, and he looks fantastic as well, because he's really prepared for this role. He's put in a lot of effort. His body is very jacked up, he's very ripped, and he looks very fit. So Ranveer really has done a great job. So coming on to the leading lady, Sara Ali Khan, who made her debut 3 weeks ago in the film Kedarnath, was a breath of fresh air, and she looked absolutely beautiful and stunning as she made her entrance in the film as well. Although she does not have a very huge part to play in this film, But whatever she did have, she did extremely well. Her chemistry with Ranveer is extremely good. Unfortunately, we don't get to see enough of it, so I'm hoping that somebody will cast them again, because they do share this huge chemistry and a great rapport. Looking at some of their interviews together that they've done during the promotions, so they really do get on well. I hope that they do actually come together. Sara actually wanted to try out different genres, so I salute her for trying this role, which showed her in a different avatar from Kedarnath, where she's dressed in modern clothes, different styles, and she looked absolutely beautiful, as I said. And an interesting story about this film was that Sara's first film, Kedarnath, actually ran into trouble whilst shooting, so she wasn't quite sure whether it was going to be her debut film or not. And when production was shut down due to financial difficulties, she decided to take matters in her own hands and messaged Rohit Shetty and asked him for this role. He didn't respond, so she messaged him about 4 or 5 times. He still didn't respond. So suddenly he gets a call from the director of Kedarnath, who says to him, would you take Sara Ali Khan in your film? And of course Rohit Shetty said, well, she has messaged me and I didn't really want to sort of poach her from you, so and he said, no, it's fine, and he said, okay, well, if you don't mind, I'll talk to her. And he said, well, you can talk to her now, and he passed the phone on to her. So Sara actually made the director of Kedarnath talk to Rohit Shetty and plead with him to take her in his film. So Rohit Shetty said, well, when can I meet you? And she said, right away. And so within an hour she was there, and Rohit Shetty said, I was expecting this big entourage coming through, but no, she appeared all by herself. So Rohit Shetty decided to give her the role without looking at the rushes of Kedarnath or giving her any screen test, because she was so gutsy and so ballsy. So well done, Sara. And this story was related by Rohit Shetty and Sara Ali Khan about their coming together for this film. So Sara Ali Khan has had a good debut in Kedarnath, where she's been appreciated and loved by the public, and I think she'll be loved by the public yet again. She has finally arrived in Bollywood, and her star is just going to shine even more, and she looks so fresh and so lovable in this film as well. Rohit Shetty, I was quite amazed with, because this is not his usual type of film that he normally does, because I can't remember seeing a single exploding car flying up in the air like he does. I mean, it blows up about 20 Ferraris or something silly like that, but I can't remember seeing one single flying car in this film. So I was quite surprised that he's restrained it. He's also given in a social message, which was quite interesting for a Rohit Shetty film, and it was a very important message because it's quite relevant in this day and age as well. And as we've seen from the trailer, which I won't give any spoilers that we haven't already seen in the trailer itself, I think, we all know that it's all about rape as well, which is a very delicate and sensitive subject, and he's handled it really, really well. Because I did think that, well, Rohit Shetty, social message about rape, will he be able to do it? But he has actually pulled it off with great sensitivity, and all hats off to him, because he's done a wonderful job. We don't actually see anything gratuitous, or we don't see anything graphic. We don't see it being turned into a vigilante movie. It's done very subtle, and it's basically trying to put the fear of God into these horrible men who commit these heinous crimes of rape. So I think it's a good sign that he's actually done that in this film. Because if you remember, there was a film from Hollywood years ago called Fatal Attraction with Michael Douglas, who's a married man and has an affair with Glenn Close. And when she turned into a psycho, in real life, a lot of men were put off by having extramarital affairs, because in case somebody turned out to be that. So there was a dip in numbers of married men having affairs at the time. So I'm hoping that this film, something like this in cinema, could actually scare people and say, well, hang on, and make them think twice. So I think, having a social message like that might actually sort of sink into some people, or it may help them search their conscience. And I think the message is quite relevant today because rape crimes are going up and up and up in India, and he brilliantly introduces real life cases in this film and also gives you statistics of how rape is just on the increase in India. And one of the things that I find really horrible and in India is that most of it's always a gang rape situation. So there are a lot of rapes with gangs involved as opposed to sort of single men. Although there are a lot of those, but the stories, the horror stories that we hear about these gang rapes, is that they almost leave the victims, the women, almost for dead. And they're so close to death, and some women actually die. So I think it's a subject that needs to be brought to attention. It needs to be addressed, and the law needs to change because it's an antiquated law, and the legal system is just so out of date from the British Empire that it needs complete reform. Because what happens is that if it's in a gang culture, they'll all be each other's alibis. Then you've got appeal procedures, appeal after appeal, or they delay the dates of sentencing for years to come. So justice in these cases are not swift, and so I think something needs to be done because this is a very heinous crime, as I said, and most women are left for dead because of the kind of violence that's attached to gang rapes as well. The numbers that they quoted in the films were not even realistic because most women in India do not report these crimes because of fear of shame, or just bringing shame on the family, or not having to relive this through the courts again. So we don't even know what the real numbers are. But if this film can sort of make a man search his conscience, or question his actions before he does this crime, then the objective is achieved. And I think if it puts the fear of God in them, then that's great. Although I must stress that this is not a vigilante film, and it does not advocate violence outside of the law as such. But it has to be an entertainer, so it's nicely woven into this fabric of an entertaining film, and I think it does its purpose. So I was quite excited and surprised by Rohit Shetty's sensitivity to this subject, because we don't see anything graphic, as I said, and it was done very well indeed. Now, before the film was released, I read a lot of comments, and I'm sure somebody's going to mention it here on my channel as well. But yes, I know this is a remake of a Telugu film called Temper, starring Junior NTR, and I know this because I've seen that film. And so it doesn't matter if it's a South Indian film, if it's a remake. And Rohit Shetty has actually not denied the fact that it's a remake, because he has given full credit to the original writers of the South Indian Telugu film. So those writers are credited with the story. There is a good reason for making remakes in different languages, because if a South Indian film is made, it'll be seen mostly by people who speak the South Indian languages or understand them, and the rest of the country or the rest of the world may not see that product. So if it's remade in another language, then you've got a bigger chance of that story being seen by other regions in the country and maybe even abroad. And it works vice versa as well, because a lot of Hindi films are then also remade in South Indian languages. So in fact, an example is that just a couple of days ago I saw a trailer of a South Indian film starring Kajal Agarwal called Paris, Paris, which is an exact remake down to all the costumes of the Kangana Ranaut film Queen. So it works both ways, guys. Let's just be proud that it's actually an Indian film, and that it's going to be seen by a lot more people within India and also around the world. So it just reaches a lot more people, regardless of what language it was made in first. So these films are remade to reach a larger audience, or an audience that was excluded because they did not know the language it was originally made in. So of course in the trailer we see that there's a special appearance by Ajay Devgn. And so Rohit Shetty has now created a cop universe, very much like the Avengers, where these super cops are coming together. So we had Singham the lion, and we've got Simmba the little lion cub coming together in this film. And of course, Ajay Devgn's entry is just astounding. It's worthy of claps and wolf whistles, which in Indian cinemas you'll get that, on every entrance of any big star or the action hero or any songs. They'll be getting up and dancing in their seats. So, they actually live these movies out there. It's an event. The music of the film is very, very good. All the songs are great, but of course, the biggest hit of the year is the song Aak Mare, which I reacted to when I was singing and dancing, because it was a remake of a 90s song which I absolutely loved at the time. So they've done a great job of recreating that song, and it's top of the charts at the moment. So be sure to sort of check it out and listen to it, because it's well worth a listen. It's a catchy tune and it's very, very good. And so we see this big lion and little lion coming together in this cop universe, but there's a huge surprise right at the end, guys. And this is the only spoiler I'm going to give, because most of you may have already heard now, so it's not a secret anymore. But right after the end, when the film finishes, it says a film by Rohit Shetty and team, which is quite nice of Rohit Shetty to do that, because he includes his team. We see another cameo appearance by Akshay Kumar, and it's actually not a cameo, but it's actually an introduction of a character called Veer Suryavanshi, which is the next film that Rohit Shetty is going to do in the same universe as these two. So it's a third cop who is now entering this universe, and hopefully we may see cameos in that film of Ranveer and Ajay Devgn. And the film is actually slated for release in 2019, so we can look forward to that next year. So Rohit Shetty is quite a cunning director and producer, because he's now creating this cop universe very much like the Avengers, and all their paths are gonna cross. So I'm quite excited about this, because nobody's ever tried that before. So I think in Indian cinema it's going to be a first. So all in all, this film was very exciting. It didn't bore me at all. The story went on quite nicely. For the first half, we got this lovable rogue Ranveer, who's actually sort of a police officer who's corrupt and just takes bribes, and very childlike and lovable, as I said. And we see him sort of progress, and of course he has to have some kind of redemption at some point. So he meets this young girl who's teaching on the side of the roads, and it reminds him of his teacher, because you see this in the trailer as well. He says, "You're like my teacher, you remind me of her. I used to call her older sister, and she said, I'm younger than you, so I can be your younger sister." So of course he, being an orphan, gets quite attached to this girl as his sister. And of course we see in the trailer that she gets raped at some point, and that she dies. This is where the arc goes up for this character, where we suddenly see him change gears, and it's time for his redemption. And the film gets a little bit serious, which it rightly needs to be. But however, during the second half, even though it's serious, it started getting serious before the second half actually, but there were some lighter moments in the second half where you've got this very punchy dialogue, some very great one-liners which are worthy of claps and whistles. So the dialogue was on point. There were some great one-liners in there, and Ranveer delivers it with conviction, with enough gusto. He has so much energy, this guy. And so of course I think he did a brilliant job, which I am surprised that he did deliver, because, as I said, I was worried that he may actually ham it up so much that it would be way, way, way over the top. Um, you know, almost like the Alauddin Khilji character, because he did sort of go overboard with that one as well, didn't he? But he just reined it in a little bit, so it wasn't too cringeworthy. And I think it gave us some really good moments in the film. As I said, I wish there were a lot more scenes with Sara Ali Khan. She was very underutilized in this, but she's had a great start to her career in Kedarnath, and this film just shows another side of her, very young, very trendy, fashionable, a different genre, and she had some spark as well in terms of her expressions and some emotion that she conveyed as well. So all in all, it was a good film. It kept you entertained, and there wasn't a dull moment. And most importantly, there was a social message and an issue that needs to be brought to the forefront, and to stop these crimes in India. And if a film like this can sort of spark someone's conscience and says, do not do it, then great. Even if it changes one person, that is goal achieved. So I think we need more of that. But overall, I really enjoyed this film. It didn't bore me. I appreciated that it was a complete and utter entertainer. It was what's called a masala entertainment, and what the Indians call paisa vasool, which means worth every penny, because it entertained me, so every penny was worth it, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So my Sunny Stars rating for this film would be a good, solid 4 golden stars. I would thoroughly recommend you go and see this, because you will laugh, you will cry, you will smile, you will cheer. It just entertains you. So go and see it at your local cinemas and enjoy it. Take your family with you. As I said, it's a family orientated movie as well, and enjoy it. And let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the film, or whether there was any sort of cheering by the public in the cinemas that you were in, and also what your thoughts are. So keep watching until the next time. This is Sunny signing out.